Your station. It's Tuesday, the 13th day in May 2025, and welcome to the headline news analysis. This is the second half of the headline news that we brought to you at 7 o'clock, and then you get a chance to debate, discuss, and talk about some of the big stories we brought to you at 7. So, any of those stories catch your attention of the headlines, or maybe you're just coming across any headline this morning that is worth talking about, you can please bring them forward as well too, alongside the ones soon to be discussed on the program. But please make sure that any other story that you will be sharing outside that we have should be from credible sources, and they must be verifiable. We'll give no place for logical fallacies. Fake news will not be entertained on the program, as any story or any item brought in here must be from credible sources as well. You're absolutely free to criticize, but we will appreciate if those criticisms are constructive enough. Let's have civil conversation this morning on the headline news. I am Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey, and we have with us Nicholas. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing? How's your trip down here?
Fine, cool, quite cool.
All right. Views to be expressed on the program is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analyst this morning, Nicholas Uwerunonye. The number to call to join the conversation is 0807 777 9927. 0807 777 9927. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go straight to the point. Well, it does seem like Jam is listening, or we're listening on our conversation yesterday, as they have made a U-turn this morning, yesterday rather.
They've been able to say they were going to do the review of the whole the complaints, the scams cause of people complaining, and are going to go ahead and do the review.
Yeah, in fact, they admitted that the complaints were unusual, about 8,000 candidates complaining. You know, that is quite significant. And I think JAM should go a step more. If they are going to, I think they need an ombudsman, kind of, somebody that is outside the system to take a thorough look at the, because you can't be a judge in your own case. You see, you need it to be very forensic, because that is the only way it can be convincing to candidates. There was the video of this little girl that said that last year this was what she scored, and how could she have scored
155
this year? I think she scored above 200,
about 295,
something, almost 300.
Yeah,
and then this year,
I think they should go a step further, make it very thorough, very forensic, and very open and transparent.
But again, one we want to question that trending video of the little Nigerian girl who was complaining about JAM with a score of 295. Should get you admitted into a Nigerian, federal university. So why resit the exam again?
No, don't forget that it's a UTME thing, and you have the UTME doesn't, and the WAEC doesn't qualify you automatically into a university or for a course you decide you want. They have to aggregate the scores, the WAEC, the post-JAM, the post-UTME, and of course the UTME. So they will aggregate the score. Then if you fall within the cutoff of your desired university, then you get your course. So it could be that this is just, I'm just trying to offer an explanation, kind of a hypothetical, guess as to why she is resitting the exam. Maybe she was offered a course that
she didn't want,
or probably it didn't make the cutoff at the end of the day. So,
well, let's just look at, before we move away from the JAM story and look at it. JAM is saying that they first agreed to discrepancies in results and announced a fast-track review of the registration examination with experts already engaged to identify and resolve the issues. Again, if you look further, read further, you will see JAM says, saying, reassuring the people that the results, where did I find that? Saying that the results were properly, the exam was properly conducted. Is it not are they not contradicting themselves? This report?
You wouldn't expect them to rule over just like that. The mere fact that they have admitted that and they have gone back on the initial claim, of what they initially said, and trying to review the entire process. That is, but of course they will always want to maintain, on the other hand, that they are sure that they have done the right thing, but they are willing to open up the books, and the system for a proper check. You should expect things like that. But like I said, it has to be open and transparent.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where you calling from?
Kelvin, and I'm calling from Oshun.
Kelvin, you're calling from where?
Yeah, Kelvin from Oshun.
All right, Kelvin from Oshun.
The reason why I'm jumping on this damn issue is I think we're not really hitting the nail on the head on this issue, and I noticed that you guys also even quickly talk about it and move to another thing. But one thing is, if I am a lecturer, and I can tell you very well that the categories and the class of people are being admitted into university these days is alarming. How do I mean? You would see students that are in 200 level, 300 level, that when they write something, you give them tests or you give them exam, and they submit, you would wonder if they are wrote down or actually if they wrote WAEC. And by the time you call them and you ask them, what did you score in your exam? You'll be hearing 260, 270, and 280. And as a lecturer, as a tutor, you know very well that this student is not capable of that grade. So I think there is something wrong with grading when it comes to JAM, sincerely. You have so many students coming. Now, of course, also saying that the JAM grade doesn't guarantee admission needs to be looked into. Because how can somebody score 290 something and the person is not getting admitted into the department that fits into that category, that grade? It's something that's really questionable. And then you have people that have been passed here and there, been brought to the system, and they expect lecturers to start grooming to be better. And that's why you have so many people graduating from university with quality. And at the long run, they say, oh, it's the school they went to. But this thing is a grand thing. When the foundation is broken up, foundation doesn't work well, there is nothing one can do. So I think the grading system of JAM needs to be looked into. And secondly, why are people writing JAM every year? Why? For what reason? JAM needs to be a thing that should last for 4-5 years. Why should they be writing JAM every year? If government is not using this to generate unnecessary revenue, why? Why should that not last for years? Just like WAEC and NECO. Why should it be a yearly thing? It doesn't mean that what is in the head of those children will go away after a year or they are no longer smart. So these are two things that needs to be looked into. The grading system really needs to be looked into. And also, why is it an annual thing?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Kelvin, thank you so very much from our show for that contribution. Who is also a lecturer in the custom is giving us 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And then questioning how it's so sad to find that the quality of students we're growing in universities right now.
He raised
passed through JAM.
Yeah, he raised a number of issues. And, I think he's quite right, being, a player within the system. As to how, we already explained why somebody that scored 295 or thereabouts couldn't get it, because, there could be a lot of factors. You understand? Just your JAM score does not automatically qualify you for a course.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like I explained, and like it's a practice now, and secondly, the issue of, students being unable to defend their scores, when they get into university is another issue entirely.
Sorry to botch you, Nicholas. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Abdulsalam from Zongo.
Abdulsalam from Zongo. Please go ahead with your comment.
Huh? What is it?
Go ahead with your comment.
I said JAM shouldn't be a thing they should be writing every year.
Could you say that again, please?
Hello?
Hello? Okay, please go ahead. Okay, please, could you call us back? The line was breaking up, so please call us back. 0807-777-9927. Please go ahead,
If I get him clearly, I think what he was trying to say was that why should JAM shouldn't be written every year? It's just like buttressing what the other guy from
Kelvin said.
Yeah.
Okay.
The argument, too, has been there for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
People have been saying, and if you recall, I said that the leadership of JAM needs to understand the core mandate of JAM. It's just a placement exam. And when you allow students to go through this kind of a rigor every year, it doesn't make sense anymore. You understand? I think you should have it maybe a kind of hiatus, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like you have another placement, you have another exams, where you can say it has expired because of, the new curriculum and things like that. You need to review and upgrade the educational standards. You understand? So that should be, that I think it has its merit. It has a lot of merit. It saves a lot of costs. And of course it reduces the number of people who sits for the thing every single year. So and I think that overload is one of the reasons why we're having all this kind of results.
Problems. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Danielle. Okay.
Danielle, please go ahead.
I want to talk about the issue of persons falling through 90 gaining admission. Because 2009, I have a friend that we finished secondary school together. I was in the same shoe. He picked up you. He got to 95 then. He wanted to do law in OAU. In OAU post exam, he scored 265. OAU did not give him admission. He gave him CRS. But after the admission was almost closed, the people are complaining. There's one lecturer picked it up. They gave it to him for a year. It's happening. Most of this, at times, these people don't know who is who to help you for admission. They will not give you admission. That is why you have the jam. If I don't know the usual of Minka, the name is that you know him very well. You finish secondary school together. This thing has been happening for a long time now. It's just that social media is just exposing them more and more about these things. I think the Minister of Education needs to do something about this. And I remember the regime of this man, Adeyemi, he said, once you do JAMB, the result will last for 4 years. The result will last for 4 years. But it's a pity. He only said it, but there's no implementation. So there are so many things that the Ministry of Education needs to work on. Our curriculum, so many things. Not only from secondary school to higher institution. There are so many things the Ministry of Education needs to work on. That is my contribution. God bless Flow FM.
Thank you very much for your comment this morning.
Yeah, well, that is quite another angle that that's preferred by the last caller, and like I said, sometimes it was one of the argument, a very strong argument I put up when we came up with this issue of fake news and the rest of them. I keep on saying that for me, I don't think it's it's a kind of misnomer, kind of fake news. There has always been fake news. The only thing is the cyberspace accentuated what we have always known. It's just a known phenomenon that has been given prominence, by electronic communication.
Let's get another call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is from Shao.
All right, please go ahead.
Yes, thank God that Java asked what Mr. Nicholas here yesterday. That they are promised that they will review.
Please, could you speak up a little bit? Okay, go ahead.
I said, I think Jam has listened to what Mr. Nicholas said yesterday about this issue of mass failure. They are promised us that they are going to look into it. Fine. You see, I want to say loud and clear again. I said yesterday, when I said special center, I'm not referring to center in the urban area. Yesterday, some students are sitting in remote village in local government to go and do their work. Why must they do that? Why? Because they want to have it. You see, I'm not an academician. I'm a professional. A lecturer has just come from Mosul State to corroborate what I said yesterday. That the problem we have is any problem. As Mr. Nicholas always said, it's not from even primary school. Somebody wants to be a teacher, but somebody who is highly qualified and not somebody who you know. I want to use myself as a Christian. About 7 years ago, my own son, he wanted to enter the University of Ilorin. After he pursued 10 years, he scored 43 points. And 43 points. Somebody who has a relative of the then PC. I told him, if I cannot eradicate corruption, I must not be part of it. If my own son is not score up to what the university requires, they should leave it. My son, he has get university. We require results. You see, we don't need to be fair with ourselves. I agree with the scholars that a lot of things are common. But where do we start? So we just have to start from somewhere. God bless you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis from Shao.
In fact, as a matter of fact, after we had that discussion yesterday, I went back in time to look at this issue of special center. You see, Mr. Davis, the thing is that, when we look at a problem, we look at how it started from the very scratch, from the beginning. You see, the issue of special center started from what, in those days, when you repeat a class, it's always a thing of shame. When you fail WAEC and you have to come back to that same school. You see, most candidates don't do well because they were crushed psychologically. So they started this idea of taking them to outskirt areas where nobody knows them so that they can concentrate and pass their exam. I'm saying this because it is what I have seen. I grew up into that system. I knew a lot of students who rose from that kind of a system. So, over time, as is, anything human is always open to abuse. You understand? So instead of now having a system where people have a second chance at a shot at getting proper grades to get into higher institution, it now became a cesspit of corruption, educational malpractices. That was what happened. So the original intention of what later transmuted into special center, was actually with a noble intent to give candidates second chance. You understand? So that was what happened. But you see, this is not to excuse the use of, I'm not excusing it whatsoever. But what I'm saying is that any system at all that is made up of humans, there will always be corruption. But each time there is a system failure, we shouldn't blame it on those things. We should look at how we can remedy it. You understand? So that at the end of the day, we'll have a proper result.
All right, Mr. Nicholas, before we just, move away from this story, we have a message from Facebook, more or less like a question. It says, good morning, Flo FM. My question is that, I think you've answered this question, but again, just to reiterate in a few seconds so that this person gets the answer, the desired response. Good morning, Flo FM. My question is that why is it that some people will have good results in WAEC, JAMB, and even post-UTME, but still he or she wouldn't be admitted? And in some cases, even when the person is admitted, won't be given his or her cause. Jerry from Offa Garage.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry from Offa Garage. The thing is, like I said, there are a number of factors that could be responsible for that. Maybe perhaps you could give us some specific instances because I don't like generalizing. I treat every case as they come. You understand? Then, of course, when regardless of how good your result is, it is equally important that you note that the university have a limited space. So the moment the space is filled up, there is absolutely no way, you can get, that particular candidate to get in. I had that particular instance, when my youngest brother, who now happens to be in US now, as a doctoral student, a postdoctoral student in California, he had that problem with ABU Zaria. By the time he got in, he had proper grades. He had all the things that could make him study medicine. But unfortunately, the people from the catchment where he's supposed to, Delta area, the quota has already been filled. So he had to settle for something more or something different from that particular course. So you have issues like that. So students might decide that, no, rather than go for this, I would rather take it again. I would rather take the course again because he's determined to have that particular course. So there could be a lot of, that is just one. There could be other factors responsible.
All right, thank you, Nicholas, for that one.
All right, let's move to another conversation, but still a little bit relating since it still has to do with the education system. We have the Kano government deploying 17,600 security guards to public schools in Kano State. He has approved the recruitment of 17,600 security guards for immediate deployment across public schools. And this was spoken through his spokesperson, Sanusi Dawakin Tofa, stating that 400 personnel will be stationed in each of the state's 44 local government areas.
Well, that is a very positive development. And you see, let me equally add too, historically, that is not a new thing. You see, in those days when we were in primary school, like I told you, I schooled in Ilorin here, in a very local school, where you could, in quotes, local. It's Adedayo LSMB. It used to be Local School Management Board. It took over from this native school authority thing. So I've been here for a while. We had that kind of, there was mass deployment of, security guards, to schools. In fact, I recall that one elderly gentleman was brought to our school and was introduced to us on the assembly ground, and to a very large extent, it curtailed a lot of truancy. Because the moment you see that for the forbidding look of that man at the gate, you don't step out of the school compound. So it reduced a lot of truancy then. Then secondly, within this context where, we have insurgencies, we have unsafe schools, and of course the issue of out-of-school children. Because that 20 million might not just be people who have no access to school or people who were in school but decide to go out to play truancy. We are captured in those figures. So probably, for the first time, we're having something cohesive in terms of policy implementation to really solve that problem. And that is kudos to the state government.
Again, sustainability is always... sustainability is also a concern in this because you recall this is not the first time that, schools will be asking for security, beef ups here and there. I think at some point we had... a situation around some particular state in North Central and customs in the Northeast as well too, when the insurgency was rampant. Now it's resurfacing, and the schools need to be protected again. How do we sustain this across public schools in the Northwest and then the Northeast?
The problem has always been the inability of government to create structures that supports them. You understand? That you have to do teachers recruitment every year, every now and then. But what of all these ancillary support services like security and things like that? Why don't you have a structure that makes sure that year in year when they retire, you replace them? You understand? So that is, and just to even equally add to the historical antecedent I'm talking about, in those days, immediately after I left secondary school, government high school, then there used to be this school sheriffs. I was introduced under the military. They come. These are well-educated, paramilitary outfit, dressed, properly trained. They deploy them to schools. You could have close to 5 of them. You understand? I don't know why that was phased out too. At some point it was phased out. They call them school sheriffs. They dress in green or something like that. I think it was a national thing there. So I don't know why that equally too was phased out. So it's about sustaining the structure that allows for security to be a regular feature of every government-owned schools. In fact, a private school too can key in. Don't forget that there was this paramilitary that was at the end of it was jettisoned, Peace Corps. One of the mandate it sought to fulfill at that time was being used as security for schools. But unfortunately, it was thrown out at the very last minute, and it had gained a lot of popularity then. I think this is an opportunity for federal government to look into that again. And, in conjunction with the state government, they could see how that, Peace Corps thing can be revived and perhaps put into that use.
Okay. 0807-777-9927 is the number to call to be a part of the conversation and to bring up any conversation you would like to make a comment about.
All right, let's quickly touch on this because as it affects the federal government, it affects so many Nigerians, Nigerian homes as well, to even private residents. Let's take this call before the next story.
Good morning. Hello, okay.
All right, well, let's please try and connect back. Well, the Federal Executive Council has directed the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi SCN, to strengthen existing laws or introduce new ones to criminalize the theft of government assets by scrap metal dealers, miners, and cart pushers. Now, you will agree with me that many Nigerians, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families must have had an experience with the scrap, metal dealers and these cart pushers, and as we call them, they go into private residents and pick up scraps and then they sell. And the government is saying that as a result of that activity, they've lost some critical national infrastructure.
Before you respond, let's get another call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, from Central.
All right. Please, could you turn down the volume of your radio set in the background?
Yeah.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I would like to make comment on JAM, especially governed by post-UTM.
Just go ahead.
I think it's unfair. Very unfair for the students. The pressure on them is too much. I think the system of one should render the other one irrelevant. In 1992, when President Absalam was around, he created NECO as an alternative to WAEC. Why make it that when you fail WAEC and do NECO, why not make it that if somebody fails JAM, then the university can take under examination to augment for the field JAM, rather than do JAM and then coming back again to do post JAM? Why the pressure? This is my own point. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for your comment this morning.
Briefly, that would be very, very counterproductive. You know, allowing universities to set exam with what is happening, the kind of skewed, admission process that we have.
But,
we
had it at some point.
We had it, but at that time, there was the standard was okay. You know, the quality of people who administer university were the kind of people that were open-minded and transparent people. You understand?
Right. Another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's me, I'm coming from Beijing. I'm really enjoying your program.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead with your comment.
So please, sorry to take you back on the JAM issue. Like, I believe a lot of us or a lot of people have one or two things with JAM. Like, I have my own personal experience with JAM as well. And I could still remember, like, 2020 when I wrote my first JAM. Like, the same with one of my classmates. I was the head boy by then. So, I think I was doing something like I got a very good job, but score me. But like, I think the analyst said, I was not part of the catchment area because after I didn't go to the admission, I started asking questions and I was getting different explanations, those things like that. So, but what I know is that one thing is for sure, like JAM is more focused on generating money, and that is for sure. We cannot debate that. Because there are a lot of things that are happening there that I see is not okay. And like the analyst said, they need to look into it and see what they can do because it's really frustrating students and it's not encouraging students at all.
All right.
So I think we can do better.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. All right. Nicholas, would you make a statement on the story we're talking about so we can round off?
I think basically we have answered, most of these, questions. And, the thing is that, the only point that I want to reiterate is that aspect where I said that JAM shouldn't be just a money-making agency. It should be an exam body. An exam body should, anything that has to do with making money conflicts with its core mandate. And before you know what, you start cutting corners and you create a lot of problems like we are seeing right now,
All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly squeeze in Kelvin from our shows, making a lot of sense this morning. Emmy Otis from Uwerunonye. I don't believe you need to score. You need to know someone to get admitted to university. You may score 300 and your subject combination is wrong. That way you may not get admitted to the university. Thank you, Nicholas, for your comments and the wonderful comments made. The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7. Thank you for your comments. We're sure to be back tomorrow, same time, 8 to 8:30. I am Dayo Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you so much for joining us today. Join us tomorrow from 8 o'clock to 8:30 as well.